So, Joy and Shannon, here we go again. In quote-unquote making the case against Ezekiel Elliot, 6-game suspension, to me, our commissioner, Roger Goodell, is again making the case he should be fired. And I've made the case before. After the Ray Rice fiasco, he should have been fired. Remember the hot seat he was on then? Remember the press conference he had to do that fateful Friday to try to, quote-unquote, save his job then? They had that elevator tape, and they chose to ignore it. Then, a year ago, you and I disagreed on this. A lot of people disagreed, but I thought Roger Goodell tried to frame and railroad and ruin the reputation of one Tom Brady just to punish the Patriots for their history of cheating. I heard no conclusive evidence and thought the commissioner made a buffoon of himself with that Wells report. That was last year. So now, that was Tom Brady, who's now #1 on the merchandise list. Now we come to the #2 player on the current merchandise list, one Ezekiel Elliot. And I'm waiting for conclusive proof I cannot find that he, in fact, beat up the accuser repeated times, 3 days in a row, back in July of 2016. And I'm a little lost because now the commissioner again looks foolish and incompetent because he's handed down a 6-game suspension to Ezekiel Elliot without even interviewing him or the accuser? Seriously? So let me get this straight. We talked about Article 46 yesterday. It gives the commissioner absolute power. You are judge, jury, and executioner. The buck stops with you. Yet you didn't even look into the eyes of Ezekiel and his accuser. You didn't even study the body language as they testified to you before you handed down the suspension. So the buck stops with you, but wait a second. Oh, you're passing the buck to the commission that you named, and you can now say, don't blame me. They did it. They told me to do it. And yet, the woman that he hired, Roger Goodell, hired to be his chief advisor on domestic violence, Lisa Friel, back in 2014, post-Ray Rice fiasco.
Correct.
According to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram piece, which was well done by Clarence Hill, Lisa Friel was unable to give a clear endorsement of the accuser's credibility because she repeatedly misled investigators. Now, again, I'm going to restate my case. If you can conclusively show me that on those 3 days in question, he beat the hell out of that woman, he should be suspended for the whole year. Seriously. At least that. I'm out. But nobody can prove that to me because the more I read about her, her credibility gets worse and worse. And again, we've seen all kinds of cases where low credibility, but it happened. And if it happened, it happened. And I'm good to go with that. But there are all these quotes about how the alleged victim, according to several eyewitnesses, after Ezekiel told her, you're out, we're breaking up, you can't come to my birthday party, she repeatedly said, I'm going to ruin your life. And she did not call police until that point, and then later admitted that she made up that case of that instance of domestic violence. Yet the NFL continues to say that on July 17th, 19th, and 21st, they list all sorts of injuries to her arms, neck, shoulders, hands, wrists, hips. And they're pinning their case on those 3 days of domestic violence when, in fact, the Columbus Police Department investigated all of the above and found her testimony not credible enough, not consistent enough to even charge Ezekiel Elliot with said domestic violence. So now we come around to Ezekiel's side is saying that she had pre-existing injuries from a bar fight that she engaged in as she worked as what's called a quote-unquote doll at a Columbus nightclub. And I'm getting more and more lost by the moment. All I know is that I kept telling you that Jerry Jones, I'd never heard him so adamant about saying publicly about an accusation, there's nothing there, there's nothing there, there's nothing there. We have yet to hear from Jerry Jones since this suspension was handed down, except for reports that he is very angry about it. So now we have, in back-to-back years, Roger Goodell is trying to take down, or did take down, Tom Brady and now Ezekiel Elliot, and he has gone after Robert Kraft and now Jerry Jones, the two most powerful owners in the sport. And I'm wondering, is he just trying to curry favor and please the other 30 owners who clearly want him to put these teams in their places? That's how it comes across to me. And for that, it's so unfair to those two teams and those two players that I'm right where I was after Ray Rice. I don't see how the commissioner keeps a job that paid him last year $33 million and a high in his 11 years as commissioner of $44 million. Really? How do you keep that job?